And
Oh my
again, we
God,
had
this is actually breaking news from Rebecca.
This is breaking news. I know. We had our slideshow so nicely locked down. We were all so proud, ready to just jump in. And then I'm like, oh no, Latter-day Struggles. We have to add that. And then while I was commuting home on my commuter train, I was made aware that through a stake president locally, the LDS Church has tried last time, Hail Mary, to send a letter to the town council of Fairview. So I'm just going to read this very quickly. This literally came out just within the hour. We've all podcasted to death about this. As you see, there's a picture of the McKinney Temple, the original plan. We had Mayor Lesnar on a podcast on Mormonish, and just yesterday, Steve Pinecker had him on. It was very interesting. If you have a chance, go check that out, especially the comments. His audience is faithful, and I feel like we need to wash some of their mouths out with soap. I was actually very surprised at some of the comments about Mayor Lesnar and his appearance.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Go you mean his appearance on the show or his physical appearance?
Yeah. Well, no, not his physical. He's a very handsome man. No, his appearance on the show, calling him a liar, saying things like poppycock. Right. And then there were even worse than that. And then there were comments defending him, saying, I want to be a good neighbor. So it's an interesting microcosm. Now, I think over 200 comments at this point to go and look and see how mostly faithful on Steve Pinecker's channel, Mormon Book Reviews, reacted to Henry Lesnar, just telling a story. I mean, he was just straight shooting. Folksy. He just told people how it was. It's a very good interview. Anyway, so after that,
this letter from a stake president.
What was that?
This letter's from a stake president?
This letter is from, and this is so ironic because on both of these programs and a whole bunch of other media, like the Dallas Morning News, he has been saying, I would like to sit down with a decision maker. I would like someone to respect me as the highest elected official in Fairview and look me in the eye, shake my hand, and we talk this through. And he said, I'm willing to go to Salt Lake. I mentioned that on the newscast a couple weeks ago. And so here comes this letter. It is from President Daniel M. Trithal of the Allen, Texas stake. This is a stake president who is sending a letter to the town from the church. I guess we're assuming that this
If I were the church's lawyers and I didn't know about this, I would be really pissed off.
That's what I'm saying. It's very ironic that he's saying, please, man to man. And what you may not know about Henry Lesnar is that he, in his profession, is a top negotiator around the world with governments and also executives. Like, he knows his stuff. He works in these circles that are high level. And this, a person next door who, I don't know who the stake president is, maybe he's a plumber, and he sends this letter. So I'll just take a second to read it because it just came in and it's kind of the next part of the continuing saga. Remember, there is an intent to sue. So this is kind of the church's last, I think they see it as a Hail Mary. It says, Dear Mayor Lesnar and Fairview Town Council members, I write this letter on behalf of the leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. On behalf to discuss the proposed temple project in Fairview. We value our relationship with the community and are eager to work together for a positive outcome on this project and our long-term relationship as friends and neighbors. And I'm going to be looking down. So Bill, if you want to flip the slides when I get to where they flip, you can do that. Temples are sacred to us. They are the houses of the Lord. And we've heard a lot of rhetoric now that that's what they're to be called, not temples. Sanctuaries where we commune quietly with Him, unite families for eternity, and experience hope and peace. Each of the 376 temples around the world embodies this faith, although only half of them have been built and are not on the schedule to be built. We also deeply cherish our connection with the communities where temples are located. Local members of the church are an integral part of the Fairview community and the surrounding areas. I think that's true. We appreciate the vision for development that preserves Fairview's unique character. That is something the mayor talked about at length, how special Fairview was, the look and the feel, and the zoning protects that, and that's why it's there. We hope to support such an approach and want to reassure residents that the temple will be a beautiful and peaceful place that enhances the neighborhood in alignment with the long-term vision for the area. Okay, great. The chosen 8.1 acre site is well positioned along existing religious buildings. It's true, it's on Church Row, and it's also right next to their existing stake center, which is the tallest building in Fairview right now. So if you hear religious bigotry, they already own the tallest building in Fairview. We cannot be more clear on that. We are committed to not only meeting, but exceeding local standards wherever reasonably possible. Their support from the agreement, I think I left something out here. When the church sought to engage with council members individually to discuss their commitment to this compromise, we were met with refusal. Kevin will look right at the camera. The council members cannot speak to any attorney individually. There are sunshine laws. If you guys are attorneys, you know what that is. They are verboten from meeting one-on-one with any entity. There are rules, regulations. They have to do everything in the open as an elected body. They cannot meet one-on-one with the attorneys, and they've told them that. However, the church continues to say they won't meet with us, and they keep saying we can't. So that's kind of an impasse there. But here they brought it up again. Refusal. While we continue to believe that the town's denial of the current application substantially burdens the practice and expression of religious beliefs for the church, because what they're saying is it needs to be super duper tall in order to worship there. Now, Elder Bednar himself put out a video called No Small Temples, where he said it's not the size that matters. It's what happens inside.
What is this next thing?
Huh? I'm going to read it in just a minute.
Now I'm really confused.
I know. President Nelson also has gone on record saying it's not what the temple looks like outside, it's the inside. There are 11 other temples that have domes or no steeple whatsoever. So to prove that a tall tower is necessary for their religious worship when nothing happens in the tower is going to be very interesting to see how they do that. And of course, that's where the steeple doctrine that brought Nemo to Fairview originated. Okay. Before filling an application for a smaller temple, and this is what happened in mediation, right? Okay. They say we would still be prepared to shoulder the burden and file our application for the smaller temple.
Okay, that's where you got me.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened in mediation?
He's the stake president.
Yeah.
He has no authority to negotiate on behalf of the church.
Yeah. No, I know. No, it's really it's disheartening to me, and it's very disrespectful. These are really awesome, committed members of elected members of town council, and they're being treated this way. So they did intermediation in November, trying to somehow work something out. And the church came back with a smaller temple, 120 feet tall, 35 feet for the walls, and 33 feet footprint. Now, that is considerably smaller than the original 173 feet, but it is still beyond their zoning requirements of the town and their regulations. So in that mediation, they expected assurances from the mayor and town council that this would pass. Okay. You can't really do that in a democratic process. The mayor and the pro tem said, sure, we'll vote for it if it goes through our process. And so the church said, all right, you guys vote on this behind closed doors. The town did it. They voted unanimously. They would pass. They said, you have a public meeting where you talk about the new, smaller temple. The town did it. The church did not show up. 2 lawyers. That was it. The church spoke nothing at all about the temple. And then what the church was supposed to do in response to those 2 things that the town did in good faith was to submit an application, an actual rendering of what the temple would be, with plans for traffic and the grounds and the height. They did not do that, because they said they were nervous. They did not have assurances. I feel like they think it's a theocracy and not a democracy. The mayor on Steve Pineker's program and mine looked right at the camera and said, I will vote for the 120-foot temple if it goes through our legal process. He kept saying, I don't know how many more times I can say that. Okay. So before filling an application for a smaller temple, we ask only for assurance that the town would live up to its original obligations during mediation. The only obligations were to, number 1, vote on it as a town council behind the scenes. They did that and said they would pass on it if it was brought forward. The other one was to hold an open meeting, which they did, and the residents were not happy. They have no control over that. The town did the 2 things agreed at mediation. The church did nothing agreed at mediation, which was to bring forward a contract. Yeah, sorry, I'm still kind of heated from reading this. We remain concerned, however, that our religious rights could be compromised if the town does not honor its word as agreed to during mediation. Again, it has to go through the normal town processes. I don't know why that isn't stressed. We entered mediation with hopes of a respectful and expedient solution that advanced everyone's goals, and that still remains our hope. It is important to clarify misinformation that may have circulated about this process. It is disheartening to face mischaracterizations of our proposed temple as against the law, when it is entirely appropriate under local law and fully protected by both federal and state laws that protect religious rights in the United States of America. This is true. Every building that's going to exceed the normal zoning puts forward a conditional use permit, a CUP, that is run through the normal democratic process of the town, the planning and zoning and the town council. This whole paragraph before, where they just want assurances, that doesn't fly when you have to go through the democratic process. And again, they're saying that it is protected. We've had a lot of people in the comments say it's our constitutional right to build whatever we want. That is not true. Interestingly, they are having a series of workshops there in the Fairview area about religious freedom from an attorney who is a religious freedom expert. And the texts I've received say this is to prep the members to be able to discuss this with people who may be in opposition. So that's interesting. There've been a series, one, and then another one coming up on the 29th. Our intention has always been to collaborate openly at every stage of this process, says a letter from a stake president, and the mayor has never talked to a decision maker in the entire year-long process. Despite our sincere efforts to avoid conflict, we must stand firm against any actions that would impede the rights of members of our church, or any church, to worship freely as protected by the laws of the land. There is a way forward. We respectfully invite the town to reaffirm the commitments it made during the mediation process, which they did. They unanimously voted they would approve the smaller temple, and they held an open public meeting. They did the
need
two
to
things.
reaffirm it. That was just the affirmation.
Yeah, exactly.
Reaffirmation.
The only person that broke the agreement at mediation was the LDS church, because they did not submit an application on January 13th. I feel like I have to look right into the camera and say that. The town has done what was agreed on in mediation. Despite our sincere efforts to avoid conflict, we must stand firm. Okay, read that. There is a way forward. We respectfully invite the town to reaffirm the commitments it made during the mediation process, which previously the town council unanimously voted to support. And if anybody from the LDS church wants to watch my podcast or Steve Pineker's, the mayor said over and over directly to the camera, I will vote for the 120-foot temple. I will vote for it. Let me be clear. He said it over and over. I don't know how more clear he could have been, but it has to go through the democratic process of the town. It's not a theocracy.
Can I mention this funny line?
Yeah,
Our
go ahead.
intention has always been to collaborate openly at every stage of this process, except for all the private meetings we tried to get without you there.
Exactly. Or the fact that they've only talked to low-level attorneys. They have never been able to talk to somebody who's a decision maker.
I still can't understand why the stake president is writing this letter.
It's always a middleman. Remember the first lawsuit that was launched here? It was two people in Allen Stake who said it was too far to drive if they didn't build the new temple. They always use someone, who's a member to do, for their own purposes, whatever that is, who knows. Upholding the agreement is an essential reassurance that would make it unnecessary for us to seek judicial assistance to resolve this impasse. Again, they upheld the agreement. They will vote for it if it makes it through their town's democratic process of planning and zoning and makes it to town council. They will vote for it. And they have said that over and over. A town council can't just give an assurance. A mayor can't say, yeah, I'll pass that. Sure, I'll pass that. That's called a backroom deal. And that's not how it works. It's not how it works.
You do understand that the church is doing exactly what I said was going to happen.
Well, I was
exactly what I predicted.
I didn't want to give you the satisfaction, but yes, RFM, months and months ago, you did call this.
This is exactly what was going to happen. This is what they were going to do when they filed their notice of intent to sue.
Yep.
And if you do this, it'll make it unnecessary for us to seek judicial assistance to resolve this impasse. All you have to do is make a reaffirmation. Now, when you're going with two parties, right? Either both are going to have done something wrong to get to this point, right? Or one has done something wrong to get to this point. And somebody's hands are dirty. Maybe somebody's hands are not dirty and the other one is, but somebody's is. And at some point, if you're going to reach a resolution, you're going to have to allow the party that did something dirty the dignity of having a fig leaf to cover their nakedness.
Yep, you made that call. You absolutely did.
If I were the attorney for the city, that's what I'd be telling them. Yeah, I know it's ridiculous. It's nonsense. It's dumb in so many ways, but let's just, it doesn't cost us anything. Yes, we'll make the reaffirmation. We made it once and we're happy to make it again.
Right. And he did. He said it clearly on my podcast, on Steve's podcast, and also what he said as mayor. He said, I represent everyone in Fairview. I represent the LDS. I represent the residents that are concerned. I have to ask questions. I have to voice concerns. I have to talk as though I represent everyone in Fairview. And that's what those open meetings were about. The church said there was so much negativity there. And I say back to the church, why did you not send some representatives to really talk to the people, to try to make friends, to try to tell them about the temple, what it means? They didn't send anybody. Two lawyers sat there and they took notes on a notepad. And when Mayor Lessner said, would the LDS church like to speak here? They said, no. So to me, that is not being a good neighbor, as they always say. All right, almost finished.
If I were the mayor responding to a stake president, I would have my dog catcher write the response.
again, the mayor's trying to say, please invite me to Salt Lake. He wants to just come to Salt Lake and talk to somebody who's a decision maker, not a next door stake president from Allen, Texas.
That's
not
how
even
far
Fairview.
down in the chain of command a stake president is. He's like the
So
dog
far.
catcher in the city.
He's so far. So final paragraph here. Thank you for your consideration. We consider ourselves part of the Fairview community and share this information in the spirit of transparency and friendship. We hope to find a mutually acceptable solution that honors Fairview's future and the sacred role of the planned temple on this beautiful site. We hope you will engage with Fairview residents who want this temple and who share a love of both our faith and local community. And I think there is a page that may not have got printed off because they did talk about RLUIPA a lot and how worst comes to worst, they're just going to run this up the chain and take it to court. And they seem so assured, but it is awfully hard to prove what you have to worship. And sometimes the court rules different ways. It's not a hole in one. So I've done an episode with Colby Reddish on this, and it is kind of interesting to look at. So moving forward, we'll see what happens.
It's quite common to act much more, Rebecca, it's quite common for an attorney to act much more assured than they actually feel they are.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I did get a notification that they have yet to see the rendering, the new rendering. At Mediation, they kind of drew something that looked like a penis on a napkin. We all remember that, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't official. It had nothing. You know, a true architectural rendering has to have, you know, the grounds and the lighting and the building and all sewage and all kinds of things like that. There's nothing like that yet. There's just this letter saying, please, once again, play ball, make your citizens get on board, make the planning and zoning pass it, and then it'll all be good. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
It seems to me, you know, when they dealt with Vegas, for instance, they pay money to the politicians, allegedly, and they did pay money to them. What that was for, what that was intended for, who knows? But it sort of feels like the church thinks it sort of can get backroom deals, and it appears as though at times they do. And it seems to me that they sort of thought that would happen here, that behind the scenes, Mayor Lesnar either did or they expected him to, with the rest of the folks there, say like, hey, you know, we're going to have to do the process here. We're going to make it all look right, but we're going to make sure this gets through. We're going to talk to the powers that be, and it's all going to go through smoothly. But I think maybe the step that was missed was him going, but I'm going to have to portray to the people I represent that I'm being fair and unbiased. And somehow that missed the mark. And the church is nervous that taking this a step further and then getting burned would actually hurt their case.
The mayor played his part so well that it made the church nervous.
Yeah,
that's right. And you're not wrong, Bill, because in Cody, you have the story of the inside man, right? In Vegas, you have the contributions allegedly influencing things. In Heber, you have an entire county council, one of them even holding a golden shovel at the groundbreaking. The church is used to having things their way. Bakersfield is a temple that is in the same process. We don't hear a lot from them. Now, their city manager is LDS. And I just found out that in September, this is well into the process, he was made the stake president. They're in Bakersfield. So my question is, if this kind of letter needs to go to the town council, will he, as the stake president, write this letter to himself as the town manager? I can't even imagine.
Well, there you have it. This story has not ended. This story has more yet to come. So we'll be here to bring it to you when that does happen.